Hey, poker people. Thanks for joining me for day 5 of 66 days in a row of hand reading. Today we are doing the Heroes range, and we have our normal tools. Of course, Flopzilla, as you can see on the screen right there. We've also got the trusty Poker Tracker 4. Let's see here. So we did this Pocket 8s yesterday. Let's look at another button winning hand. Got a limper, but it's pocket 10s again. We did pocket 10s before, and we're ranging ourselves today, so let's not do that. King queen offsuit, raise call. It's not a ton of action. Jack 9, call pre, call, bet the river. This seems like a promising hand. This seems like it'll have a pretty decent amount of action for us to try to range ourselves, to learn from our own range right here. Cool beans. So we'll look at this hand. Let's see here. 878-04-921. This is my trusty hand reading template. Let's see here. 6/23 is the date. So a trusty hand reading template that I got from Split Suit, and you can get those templates at let's see. Doesn't seem to be popping up. There it is. You can kind of see it right there. I'll put it over here. splitsuit.com/templates. It's a pay whatever you want for it kind of a thing over there. All right, so we are on the button with Jack 9 suited. Let's see what action comes. Flop's going to come, turn, river. This is just how I kind of keep track of stuff, so I can always review this hand later on. Alright, so here's that hand again, the Jack 9 suited. Pretty loose aggressive player, chi attack. Chiatic maybe. Chiatic goes on, opens, so we overcall, Jack 9 suited. Whoops. Now, so what are we overcalling with at this point? We have a loose aggressive player who likes to 3-bet a ton, but it's such a big bet. If he wants a 3-bet, especially with these players, he's going to have to make it $4, or to 4-bet bluff, it'd probably be like $4 or more. So I'm really not expecting that many 3-bets. It's possible, but I'm probably just willing to call and then fold here at this point. If I was willing to call and then call again, most likely I would just do the 3-bet squeeze myself. Seems like a smarter play, just 3-bet squeezing ourselves at this point. So we make the call. What are we calling with here? We could start by just looking at our 2-bet calling ranges, and let's just select something like a 13% or so. Okay, so we know we have the Jack 9 suited, but that doesn't matter. Let's see what hands we're calling with total in this spot. I like the deuces calling, especially for set mining purposes. We can see he's got a full stack, almost a full stack right here after this call, or before this call. So deuces all the way through. I think 10s I would be 3-betting. 9s I'm most likely just going to call. 10s I do like the 3-bet with right here, especially against such a loose aggressive player. Let's see, the fold to 3-bet, then fold. 0 so far out of all the positions, but if we did have pocket 10s, we'd have position even if he decided to call the 3-bet. So I think I would be calling just for the same reason I'm set mining. I'm just flush mining here with all my suited aces in this instance. Possibly the 9-7, the 6-5, the 8-6 suited. I often make my cutoff the 9-7 or 8-6. The offsuits, I really just don't like these hands in this spot. I'm calling here purposely to see the flop. Now, the pot is so big, he's got a cheap call. We could possibly be going to the flop 5 ways. And, I mean, if we're going 5 ways, I would definitely want suited connectors, suited gappers, as well as, the stronger broadways and stuff. And these weaker offsuit broadways just don't cut it. I'd probably be folding that. And I'd probably be calling these. Actually, I think I would 3-bet that. Probably call. Yep. Okay. This seems like a pretty good calling range. I would not call the Queen Jack or the Jack 10. So let's leave those off of my range here. So here's the range. You just hit Control-Alt-T to bring up the range import-export. And I copied it. What are we at? 12.7%, 168 combos. Great, there's our pre-flop range right there. Overcall versus lag under the gun opener. What else happens now that we make the call? 2 folds. Okay, good. In position, of course, because we're on the button. So, oh, well, before we look at that, doesn't really. Let's just put this guy on just a random opening hand. He is under the gun, and his under the gun opening percentage total is 28%. So we can put him on, I mean, anything. Let's put him on something that's kind of different from our hand. Let's put him on an ace, ace queen of clubs, ace queen suited. Doesn't matter. We'll see what he has at the end because we're just ranging ourselves right now. So our range versus a pretty darn decent queen, we have 39% equity pre-flop. Who knows what happens on the flop? But pre-flop, 39%. So flop comes down, and we have one other player to contend with who has a very wide calling range himself right here. So our range is much tighter and stronger than his calling range. His calling range would be something closer to like this one right here, most likely. And of course, so we have a range advantage over him, but he, Kayatic, has a range advantage over us. 4, 10, 8, diamond, diamond, club. And the 8 was the club, yeah. Okay, good. So on this board right now, we actually have about a 50-50 shot. We're at 52% right now. That's a pretty good thing. And the reason why, of course, is because, well, he only has ace high at this point with the backdoor flush draw. But we have so many, with that board, we have all the sets in our range. We do have the 10-8 2 pair. We've got plenty of 10s, ace 10, king 10, queen 10 for top pair type hands. 8s, we have a few 8s along with the sets, but we also have the ace 8, the 9-8, and the 10-8 right here. So we do, because he just has ace high and we have plenty of pairs in our range, things are looking good for us. So let's see what happens. Now he bets a full pot size bet. Now we could see his pot size bet are 85% of the time, 34 out of 40 instances. The guy loves to c bet, and he's making it a full pot size bet right now, which tells me that he's scared. He's not going for max value. This is the kind of range that can hit calling ranges really well and is scary for pocket aces, pocket kings, and stuff. So I think he has a scared hand. You could argue he's got a value hand. It could be aces or kings, and he wants to extract max value from our draws. But look at our draw right now. Flush draw, open-ended straight draw. I wouldn't say a jack is a draw. I wouldn't say the overpair. I mean, if we put him on ace-king no matter what, sure, the jack or even the 9 is a drawing card right now. But no, we've got the 9 flush outs plus the 6 additional open-ender outs right now for 15 total outs, or about 30% drawing equity, just our hand. But we're not concerned with the hand. We're looking at our range in this instance. So for our entire range, we want to think about what is, let's see what he does. Oh, good, he folds. So it's just the two of us now. Heads up on the flop after his fold. So what are we calling? Oh, wait, do we call? I believe we call, right? Yeah, that's what I said. Call, flop, call, turn, and then raise river or bet river. So what are we calling right now on this board with this range? So we're calling our sets. I definitely calling our sets because we want him to keep betting. If we call right now, he could think, oh, maybe they were on a draw, and if the draw doesn't hit the turn, he could do another pot size bet, and we might be able to get max value out of our sets. 2 pairs, I think, can call right now, which is our 10-8 hand, which is the only 2-pair hand we have. Over pairs, we don't have any because we would have 3-bet them pre. The top pair hands right now, these are, because he c-bets 85% of the time, and it feels like a scared bet, but because he made it such a big bet on a board that doesn't hit his opening range all that well, I perceive my top pair as being at least somewhat valuable. It is showdown worthy right now, and so it is a viable hand to play to his pot size bet. So I would call here with the top pairs. I wouldn't be doing any kind of raises, and because we have position, I don't think I would raise with anything right here, except maybe like a nut flush draw, possibly. I mean, I could possibly do that if I had the ace of diamonds and ace X of diamonds, whatever it is. I mean, it could be ace deuce of diamonds even. If I had that, the nut flush draw, there's a very high likelihood with his bet that he would just be folding to a shove or to a raise by me right here. So I would be raising some of my draws. The nut flushes. King high flush is probably not raising. Let's see here. The top pairs, just calling out pocket pair below, and that's just pocket 9s. I would call one street right here. I'm not going to give him credit for a top pair or better hand just because he bet out on one street. Middle pair right now. Well, backdoor, yeah. I think I would probably be folding those. Weak pairs, definitely folding. ace highs are folding. Some of the draws I would call, we'll leave those in a sec. So flush draws, yep, calling every single flush draw. Open-enders, calling them for sure. Gut shots, 6-5, I am not calling. Queen Jack, I might call one street with the Queen Jack, just one street. If we do not hit Queen, do not hit a Jack, and do not hit the 9, I'm out on the turn, especially if he makes another pot size bet. So at this point, I think this is our range right here. I think calling a gut shot is in our range, or is a decision I would make, is what I mean to say. Overcards, I'm not calling over, just straight overcards. Some of these draws and stuff have overcards, so no. And these combo draws, yeah, sure. Flush draw plus the overcards, yes, I would definitely be calling those for sure. So we have effectively narrowed ourselves down to 44% of our pre-flop range. That's 58 hands. Whoops. Forgot to copy. All right, so now this is our range after calling on the flop. So we can see, we don't know that he has ace queen, but we're just putting him on 2 overs right now. It makes sense, that pot size bet trying to scare us off with some kind of backdoor or backup equity that he has right now. With our range versus just this one card, we actually have 64% equity because we kept plenty of draws in our range. Plus, we kept all these various pairs that currently beat his ace high. So things are looking up right now. Let's see what happens on the next street, and we'll see how big his bet is. King of diamonds, we flushed it. What is our equity right now? Well, king of diamonds hits. We have a flush draw. We got to have like 90. Wait, king of diamonds hits. He can't hit anything that beat us if the king of diamonds hits, right? Because he just has ace queen. So at this point, we basically have 100% equity when the king of diamonds hits. No. Oh, well, no. Okay, because we have a lot of stuff in our range. I'm sorry. I'm thinking we have the jack 9. At this point, when the king of diamonds hits, we have the nut hand, if this is his hand. My bad. So looking at the entire range, that's what I should have been thinking. Yeah, 74% because we had plenty of draws, some open-enders and stuff, and some just a straight pair that did not hit that king of diamonds right now. Hey, now you said it. And Charlie West, thank you very much for joining me, guys. I appreciate it. Hello. Alrighty, so the king of diamonds hits our range really well. You can see our overall range shot up in equity to 74% from 50, whatever it was, 52? Oh no, on the flop, okay. On the flop, it was 52. After we range ourselves, we're 63. Now on the king of diamonds, we're at 73%. Against this random hand we assigned him. Things are looking really good right now. Our range is really strong. Our actual hand is super strong. We love this right now. So let's see, $5.80. That's $2.90. Oh, 2/3 pot. Yeah, exactly 2/3. So he decreased the size of his bet. My guess is he's not too happy with seeing that diamond right there. Maybe he just hit a top pair hand. Maybe he has a set, and now if we had a flush draw, we caught our flush. I mean, he's not happy. He decreased the size of his bet. But we decide to just call to string him along a little bit. Because after this call, there's 20 bucks in the pot. I have a 3/4 pot size bet behind. It's pretty easy at this point to get it all in here. Not easy, but it's more possible than if he had bet just like $2 and I had, or whatever. Because the stack to pot ratio is less than 1, I should say, it's much easier to get it in on the river here. So I'm good with this call. And if I open up right now with a raise, I'm just going to be raising it 10 bucks, practically committing myself to the pot, and then he knows I'm committed with the diamond. He could fold here if I were to raise. So I love the call. It keeps my options, it keeps my range a little bit wider. If I would have raised, I would have put myself on a flush here. So king of diamonds hits. He bets 2/3 pot. What are we calling with in this instance? So like I said, we're calling flushes. We're calling sets right now. The board did get a little bit scarier, and if we have a set, most likely it would be the set of 8s or the 4s at this point. And excuse me. And with the set of 8s or 4s, well, I guess it would only be the 8s or 4s actually, because we didn't have 10s or better in our pre-flop range. With the set right now, I'd rather play this in position just a little bit more passively to control the size of the pot, not possibly get it in now with a set that could be beat by a higher set or even a flush at this point. So that's what I just had to think through it in my brain. So sets would be just calling. 2 pairs, I'm down with just calling again. They're not the strongest of hands, although that king 10 top 2 pair is good. The 10-8 isn't really, so I like the call again right there. And then assess on the river, decide to bet if he checks to us or not. The middle pairs, I think I'm 10-9. Yeah, all those just regular middle pairs without any kind of awesome draw, I'm folding at this point to the double barrel, especially with that overcard coming. If I thought I was good with a mid pair on the flop or a top pair on the flop of the 10 or the 8, and I thought that he has overcards, well, ace, king, and king, queen is definitely in his range. That doesn't mean I have to fold when he bets, but he's committing two bets out of position on this board. It's very likely my top pair, my now second pair or my third pair hand is any good. Now you said it asked a question. Did anyone ever tell you that you are so easy to read? You mean like in the chat? No, nobody has. So let's see here. Weak pairs. Taking those, yeah, weak pairs I'm not calling with. Nut flush, weak flush draws. What are those? The 8s or the weak flush draws. I don't think I'd be calling there. The sets I'm calling, yeah. Open ender, yeah, I'm probably calling one more street. The gut shot now, I'd be folding now. Just the pot odds I'm being offered are just not good enough. Not at all. So no, whoops, didn't mean to click it. So right there, my call puts me at 37 hands within my range, 37 combos, and 66% of my previous range. So my range on the turn. Great. So as it stands right now, after making that call, if this was his hand, we have 75% equity. I mean, our range is really strong on this board. This board, that first flop hit our range big time. So he should be asking he should be asking himself a really good question. He should be saying, what is, just so you can see it, Wacky One calling in this instance? Now, in his mind, he's probably thinking, well, Wacky One probably has just at a minimum some kind of a pair, possibly a flush hand. I don't think he would call with an open ender or a gut shot here. This might be what Chiatic is thinking. So he should be asking himself that kind of question. What is my opponent calling with? And he should also think to himself, why isn't my opponent raising right now? Well, like I explained earlier, it's pretty obvious. We hit our flush, but we're not really scared of anything, and the pot is so big that it's easy to get it in on the river. There's no need to raise and let him know, show him that we have strength right now. There's no need to do that. We can wait till the river to get some value out of him, make him doubt himself after checking on the river to us. And then, so those are the kinds of questions he should be asking. What is my opponent calling me with, and why isn't he raising right now? If he asked himself those questions, he might be able to read us pretty darn well. So, I forgot. Oh, and then the 9 of spades comes. So on that hand right now, if we think about our total turn range, we now have, of course, we have 100% equity versus this hand right now. But that 9, it could have helped us if we had some kind of a gut shot, maybe even a queen jack for an open ender or a jack 7 for a gut shot on the flop, that kind of a thing. The 9 could help. But from his perspective, that 9 probably didn't help his range at all. If he had a set, he didn't boat up. If he had 2 pair, he didn't boat up. He still is losing to our flush, which it looks like right now with our passive play pre-flop. Passive on the flop, passive on the turn. It looks like we possibly have plenty of flushes in our range right now. So if we think at this point, hold on, the 9 of spades. So altogether, 37 hands in the combo, right? Flush draws are, we got to look here, actually, I'm sorry. So at this point, before that king of diamonds hits, flush draws were 17 hands out of 58. We had 17 combos of flush draws, right? 30% of our range had a flush draw. The flush comes in right there. Bam, that's got to scare him. Now out of this 37 hands, or yeah, 37 combos in our range, 15, almost half of our range has a flush. He should be really scared on this board once we call that king. And then the nine of spades comes. Bam, he's not happy with it at all. So from his perspective, he checks because he's scared. Maybe he just has top pair ace king. Maybe he has pocket aces and he's susceptible. And we bet just $5. Basically right now, the reason for this bet, now this hand was played back in June. I don't exactly remember why I bet this amount. I think I bet this amount because I put him only on a one pair hand. Pocket aces, ace king, pocket queens, jacks, something that was happy. Not exactly happy, but it was at least comfortable on the flop. Not super happy, but something that might be willing to pay us off when there's only one overcard on the board. So I had to bet something, bet $5. It's possible I could have shoved for the full $15 and gotten him to call. Don't know exactly what he would have done, but I like this bet right here. Now, this bet tells me if I were Chiatic, what is Wacky Juan making the bet with? Well, he's betting his flushes, betting his straights, betting his sets because Chiatic checked right here. Wacky Juan is definitely betting his straights. He's betting his sets for value as well. He's betting his two pair hands, and then probably not betting any weak pair hands. Probably just trying to get a showdown and hoping that Chiatic has an ace queen like this hand right here, you know. So I think overall this is a very good range for making that river bet. Now, if this is our river bet range, you can see that it's 31 hands total, and all of them are top pair or better kinds of hands. And then if he beats just a top pair, which is like pocket aces, even ace king can beat a king queen. He basically only has, I mean, he doesn't have much in his range that can beat us right now, but he has hands that can pay us off. So he decides to call, which is good. I'm going to guess right now that he does have ace king or queens or jacks. It's one of those. Ace 10. Oh, okay. Ace 10 flop the top pair with the backdoor nut flush draw. Makes sense. Flush draw, nut flush draw on the turn, so he improved his drawing equity a little bit. But his total hand strength at the time was a little weak with second pair, so he just bet 2/3 pot on the turn. So that makes total sense, and the way I played it makes sense too. In our range, we still kept plenty of different diamonds and stuff, but for the fact that he bet so big on the flop and then a little bit smaller on the turn, tells me that or allowed us to narrow our range quite a bit to basically just value hands on that turn, because against the double barrel, even though I'm in position, I am folding quite a bit on a board that if I didn't have a king on the turn, like I said earlier, I'd be folding a ton of these hands if I didn't have some kind of a backup equity with a draw. Yep. Now you said, am I betting? Yes, I am betting two pair at the end right there. Because like I said, I'm thinking he has a weak top pair hand, ace, king, king, queen, or even pocket aces, which it's not a weak top pair hand, it's an overpair. But look at that board. Pocket aces is pretty weak. It's hard to go for 3 streets of value versus an opponent who's calling for 3 streets with just pocket aces. I mean, it's possible I'm a non-believer and I'm calling with a queen 10 the whole way. Queen 10 on the flop, turn, and the river. And it's possible that I could have been doing that. But yes, I am definitely betting two pair because of his check on the river telling me that he had a weak hand. And I'm going for thin value right there. Definitely. And then you can see, I mean, he c-bet so much on the flop. On the turn, it drops down a little bit to 8 out of 16 hands. But yeah, I like betting with all of these right now. Now, if he had hand read this entire way, and then he got to this point, and he did have his ace 10, what was it, diamonds and a spade. So at this point, of course, we have 100% lock. But if he had looked at our range right here and figured, well, this guy is only betting two pair or better, he'd be checking behind most of his top pair hands. Let's say he put like a random king or even a random 10 that his ace 10 beats. I'd be checking back most of those. I think he would put me on that. So, yep, I like the bet on the river. I don't like his call. I think I would have folded there, but Chiatic is such a loose, aggressive player. Doesn't like to give up. Look at that. Fold to 3-bet, only 25%. 2 out of 8 instances. He just does not like to give up. Likes to play aggressively. Likes to see rivers. And so this was a great value bet for me at the end, just getting $5. And I don't think betting $5 and leaving 10 behind, I don't think I could get him to shove anything other than like probably like a better flush. So if I would have bet and he would have shoved, I would have seriously considered folding. But knowing how aggressive he is, I probably would have called that shove. And it could have been ace queen of diamonds right there, and I could have lost my stack. But with the way he played, I sensed weakness and I went for max value. And I think this was a pretty good hand reading exercise. I mean, we took ourselves down from 168 combos down to 22, and then my hand fit the whole entire way. So I didn't play, at least from my perspective, I didn't play in any way that kind of surprised myself. Every play made total sense to me. I called on the flop when I had a really good draw, 15 outs for 30% equity. And then with the implied odds of having that starting off with that full stack, there was a lot of money to win. And I think it was a good call on the flop. And then on the turn as well, when he decreased it. And of course, we hit our flush. Alrighty, everybody. Well, thank you for joining Charlie West. And Now You Said It. I do appreciate it. So that's it for day 5 of the hand reading. I'll be back for day 6 tomorrow. Take care.